We are here at Bishop's Court in the north of Ireland, which is like a big abandoned airfield that's been turned into a drift track. It's wide, it allows us to do some crazy stuff on the car without massive consequences. Now, we've been setting up the car differently than we originally tested it in Germany, to try and tweak it to make it more for my driving style. The car and the driver have to come together. That doesn't mean that every setup is the same for every single driver. The mission for today is for me to drive the car as it is, then let James Deane drive the car, make some changes, let you guys know what those changes are and how he thinks the car should perform. Then hopefully we get this thing dialed in before we head to Iron Drift King. I'm gonna go warm it up, get some laps in, and every time we do that, it's a good day. It's okay, it's just like
something about it.
There's something about it that's unsure.
Yeah.
Like when you're on drift,
Fine.
she's lovely.
Yeah.
When she's transitioning and when you're slowing, it's like you're not sure what it's going to do. And then when you come, you kind of have to over brake to be cautious and go, okay, now maybe I'm not driving it hard enough, or that's the case. But a lot of it to me seems like just a little bit when you're initiating or on transitions, it's a little not sure-footed.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that's definitely a setup thing, I think, or it could be a chassis thing. But to be honest, like once it's in drift, it feels lovely. But it's
Can you give me a little look in here?
yeah. So just did 2 or 3 warm-up laps there, and the car, I mean, it's an absolute animal. The thing just lights tires, so it's got all the power and everything in the car can get around any problem the car has. And I don't think problem is the right word. Could be that the Supra chassis is just very twitchy or very short. A lot of people think it's a very big car, but it actually has the same wheelbase as an AE86. A GT86 is actually much longer. So what I'm trying to do is get James's input here to see if he can make some changes to it, drive it, and see if he can make it a little bit more, I would say, predictable. I think if you're an unbelievable driver, you'll do unbelievable in this car. But for me, starting off, just as it's so much for me, I kind of want it to be as predictable as possible and not sort of out of control. So in some ways, it's unbelievable, especially the mechanicals of the car are phenomenal. Just in the setup, I wonder, is there a way of making it more neutral and a little bit more predictable, especially for lead runs where I feel sometimes you might go off the track. So this is definitely a Dave problem, not a car problem, but James will be able to make that a little bit easier for me, I think.
Josh could at some point put a GoPro in here looking at the rear spring. Josh, we'll check if the spring is too soft. It's so similar to the Eurofighter, like it's almost the same rear suspension, almost the same front. And I remember when I first built it, like we had a spring that was too soft in the back and it was near the bump stop just by letting the weight of the car down. So then you didn't have much shock to work with. So there's a good chance that you might have to put a harder spring in the back. Front spring should be fairly good.
To me, if it's transitioning and braking, it seems like when you're braking, obviously the back's lifting or going down. Or
it
when
could
you're
be really lifting,
yeah,
especially in that case.
And when you're transitioning, it's kind of uncertain. Whereas when you're in drift, it's very nice, which would mean that the front suspension steering is not like doing anything I don't want it to do.
Yeah.
But it could be the back. It's like for most cars that we've ever done, you're doing all your adjustment at the front,
yeah,
and the back is just square.
Yeah.
But for this, I think the back is doing a lot more than it would in like an S chassis or in anything else I've driven. Like the Corvette again was very just flat, square, didn't do anything with it. But this could be that's the thing. We don't know where the issue is in terms of like that. You can call every guy who has a Supra, but they all have different setups and different ways of driving. So I'm just trying to make it kind of neutral and safe to drive for me. That it's not doing something. Even if I was taking,
we'll measure it later when we're changing a set of tires. We'll measure the shock and see how much it droops.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could be close to the bump stop before you even start.
Which would say a lot, I guess, yeah. But again, my knowledge here is like limited. I like driving, but the setup stuff to me still is like that bit in The Hangover where all the theorems are flying in front of my head. I'm like, so I would prefer to get to a point where I go, leave it neutral, make it easy to drive, and then we'll dial from there.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I would say I would be like 50-50 confident throwing it in against the wall whether or not I'd be where I thought I would be.
Yeah.
But once you get on throttle, it's kind of okay. You can steer out of it. I want to see you take a lap in it because you've never driven a Supra.
Never driven a Supra.
I'm not sure you're going to fit in it is the other thing because they're quite small.
That could be an issue, but I have an RX-7. I fit in that somehow.
Yeah, this thing is not too bad.
It can't be any worse than that.
There's a little height difference, but it's not too bad. So James is going to take the car out for a spin. I've just forgotten that this car is actually left-hand drive with So he's just going to go for a spin and I'm going to get feedback from him. Anyone in the world is going to know if it's good, bad or indifferent or what we need to change. This is the guy. So an invaluable little test session here. I'm excited to see how he goes. Have fun.
Also just put a GoPro underneath. You can see how the shocks are apparently.
Yeah, so this isn't just like testing it for fun. This is really testing it for competition. So he's going to come in and have a ton of feedback and we might be able to change some things here that hopefully makes the car, I don't know, easier to drive. It might not be. In my head, I just want to know if it's me or the car. And James is going to be able to tell that very quickly. So that's why I'm excited to see. So let's see what happens. Just taking a quick break from the video because we didn't actually film this in the video, but this was awesome. James advised us to put a GoPro on our BC Racing coilovers in the rear of the car, which we found out very quickly that it wasn't massively bottoming out, but the spring was a little bit too soft, meaning that it was compressing the shock completely and we didn't have much adjustability and it was kind of having a little bit of a bump stop problem and not having enough room to compress. So we can get a harder spring in there because BC Racing obviously do any amount of springs you want, so we can get that absolutely perfectly. Also, while I have you, I want to say thank you for all the support you guys showed us on the last video about our new HQ. Just to let you know, we have applied for the mortgage. We won't hear about it for maybe a couple of weeks, but we'll keep you guys in the loop. All of your kind comments, all of your support, it didn't go unnoticed, and we're going to take a risk and go for it, so stay tuned to that. And finally, while I have you guys, we'll be back to the video soon, I'm sure. Strong wheels, you guys know we run them on the Supra, we run them on our road cars, we've got custom wheels across our entire range. Well, don't tell everyone, but they are having a sale, end of summer sale, but it's only until tomorrow, up to 40% off wheels. So you want some gangster wheels for your car, get over there right now. They support us, they support so many people in the drift scene. And if you want to talk about quality, we've seen these things smash off walls at 60 mile an hour and still hold air through Drift Masters. So if you want to grab some for your car, grab them now. Is that everything? That's everything. All right, back to the test.
I always wanted to know what a Supra would feel like. And it's not bad. There's a few small things, but in general I quite like it.
James likes it. We're in good shape.
It reminds me a lot of the E92. I think it does snap a little bit quicker, but I kind of like that feeling.
Because the E92 is quite a slow transitioning car, because it's quite long wheelbase.
Yeah, you can still get them to snap with like lots of caster and lots of things like that. It's quite easy to drive once you're just aware of like the first lap. You have to feel, okay, what's the side grip like, what's everything like, but after that you kind of know. It's quite, in my opinion, predictable. One thing I think can be improved is the power steering, so when you go on to big angle you could feel it pulling too much, so that can be definitely improved. Grip feels pretty good, like it felt pretty solid. So I'd be interested to see what the cameras are saying about how much the coilovers are moving. But it feels like that's quite bumpy out. Oh shit.
What do you think, front steering pretty good?
Pretty good, like.
Yeah.
It rotates differently, but that's only a case of driving the car, and once you know the way it rotates and you're used to it, then it always does it the same.
So it's more practice over
I would say
changes.
practice over, like even on this layout now, if you drive it again, like pick your points that you want to aim for before you even see them, and just learn the car to where you know you're going to get there. Like the first time I transitioned, I didn't know, was it going to have no side grip when I tried to slow down, but it actually had a lot of side grip, so I ended up short. So the next time I transitioned a bit later, it's in a nicer position, and the last time when I felt, because I don't want to crash your car, you know, the last time I felt comfy, it came
I did crash his now a couple of months ago, so it's fine.
so we could have
we could have traded.
yeah, but like last time I threw it in, I was like full lock, come in, picked up the power, and it just did the whole corner in full lock. Transition really smooth out of it, and it felt fun.
I'm happy to hear it. But I'm glad you like it, because obviously you're coming from something, I wouldn't say
I've heard a lot about Supras, and I especially was expecting it to be worse with being left and drive. But considering it was left and drive and felt like that, and I felt comfortable in it, I think it's a win.
That's all I want to know, because the worst thing you can do is have you come along and say, oh, this could have been this way, this could have been that way, and then I wouldn't know that probably from experience until driving at 5 events.
Yeah.
So at least now we know it's definitely me that needs to improve and practice, which is the easiest and cheapest thing to do, which is just drive more.
Yeah.
If you have to change a bunch of stuff, but I'm really happy because the guys from DBM built an amazing car, and from a mechanical point of view I knew it was A1. It's just the setup point of view. I think there's only so many people that have driven Supras at high level now, so it's nice for you to even get to feel one out and think it's actually a good chassis.
And I just think small tweaks, like more sensitive brake pedal, square up the alignment, because it's kind of it's pulling a little bit to one side, and maybe the throttle pedal, but like in most drift cars anyway, you're kind of flat out.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have the option to find a grip if you need.
Yeah.
And the rear springs, your front springs are good. Your Ackerman is the same as my E92.
So one of the questions we had was Ackerman on the front, because you have so much adjustment with angle kits that you don't know sometimes what can tip something over the edge or make it better.
Yeah.
There was quite a considerable amount of caster on the car. I found it was very snappy in the steering. We dialed the caster back a little bit. I think it's smoother now than it was, and we still have a bit of toe out on the front just to settle it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's, to me, the front steering was never really the problem. It was always like just getting used to that, as you said, on-off throttle, being more aggressive, probably even driving it harder than I would.
Yeah.
And again, I'm jumping from a V8 to this, so it's like, as a pro car, this is a lot more work on the pedals than a V8 is. You just kind of blip and go. This needs a little bit of thinking beforehand.
Yeah.
So you drove.
I forgot to drive it with the anti-lag, but it felt fine.
Like without the anti-lag, you think it was A1? Because that, to me, I always think anti-lag's great, but it can be very. I think it's actually really good.
Like a switch.
It's very much like the power comes on and off like a switch. But secondly,
so I didn't feel that. I felt it to what I'm kind of used to.
Yeah. And then the second thing that I found very interesting about the anti-lag was it makes so much noise that you can't hear the revs. You can't hear the revs. So when you go low in the revs, you're hearing all this. Blah, 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 blah,
you don't know where you are.
You could be off throttle completely, but you can, usually I think a lot of stuff happens that you feel rather than, or you hear or whatever, more so than you're doing it as like, I'm pressing the throttle now, I'm doing this. It's like the natural goes away because it's so loud in the car. So there's kind of good and bad to both. I'd say in the chase the anti-lag is very good because you can't really stall up. It just gives you that instant on-off. In the lead you probably don't need it. So basically tiny tweaks should get it to the point where then it's up to me to learn it, and that's all I want to know, is that every lap we do we're not wasting, because what you guys probably don't think is that it's probably 250, 300 euro every time you go out and do 2 or 3 laps. So you don't want to go out there and waste 300 euro just feeling it out. You want to make sure that you're practicing and progressing. So I'm glad now we're in that situation. So awesome.
And obviously,
so
no problem.
I appreciate it.
If there's a bash or something on at the end of the year and you're like still unsure, like Mandela will give you a better reference to like different corners, different situations. So see how you get on.
He likes it enough, he wants to come back for more. He didn't say this about some of the other cars we gave him over the years, so that's a good thing. But thank you, James, I appreciate it. I know you're down here teaching someone how to drift a 1,000 horsepower car for the first time, and it's been a fun day. And we appreciate it. I'm going to go out and rip some laps now and see if if he says it's good, I got to get better. So now it's time to try that.
Okay, so it's just starting to spit a little bit, so we wanted to test mostly dry, so we're going to quickly go out and hopefully do another set or possibly 2 sets before it starts raining, and I think now he's been told by James that everything's fine. I think he just focus on driving the car rather than overthinking of what's changed on the car, which I think is a good thing. It's a mental thing. A lot of drifting is a mental thing. So yeah, let's see if there's an improvement now. Do you feel it's easier driving now? It's not in your head as much?
I think so. I think now that James has given me the confidence that it's the car. The other thing is that's the first laps I've done in the car without anti-lag. So it's a little bit more work, but it's a little bit more predictable in a way, because it's not like constantly going brah like craziness. I don't know how it looked from the outside, but like seems okay on the inside.
I was gonna say the anti-lag on this car seems very aggressive. When you're off power, like the popping and banging, it almost sounds like it's breaking up. It sounds confusing.
No, it's really good on the anti-lag in terms of keeping it up the revs and just lots of tire smoke straight away. But I'd say if you are chasing someone, sometimes it can be almost too much wheel speed. Like it's got so much power that it starts to light the tires up, and you almost go slower, if that makes sense. You're actually blowing through the tires. So I drove in there with no anti-lag, and I think I need to get used to that as well. So having both options rather than just one option is great. On the run-up, it's much faster without the anti-lag, because you're not just bang, bang, bang through power. But then when you're coming out of slow corners, you need to work the car a lot more with this, with no anti-lag. So I'm learning both. I've never had the option before, so it's nice to know what both is doing differently, I guess.
Are you going to put another set on quickly?
I'm going to put a set on.
So the rain is still flirting with us, but it is still dry, so I think Wayne's going to chuck another set of tyres on quickly. I mean, it burns them off in about 2 minutes, so hopefully the rain can hold off for another 2 minutes. Okay, so the rain hasn't held off. I think we're just calling this wet testing now. Like in the rain. It's pretty good.
I think the front tires are definitely terrible now.
Absolutely.
They're like completely gone. But I went down the back straight and pulled like a massive backy. Like, it's so fun. This thing can go on so much angle. Like, it's got, compared to every car I've driven, like the limit is limitless. Like, you can do anything. It just takes a little bit of getting used to it. It's just about practice, but I'm feeling more and more comfortable every lap, which is a really good sign, I think. Like, I'm feeling like I'm trying, I'm not doing the perfect lap there. I'm trying to do different things to see what it'll do. And like, I could do a very consistent good lap around there if I wanted to.
I think it's a very good car in the rain.
I actually think it's pretty quick in the rain.
It's very quick.
There's a lot of grip there. I was thinking, oh, it'll just flow through, but there was a lot of grip in the rain there, so.
There's a moment there me and waiting for you could be in the barriers.
No, I was trying to get close to them and see what I could do, but like, at no point did I feel massively out of control, so. Like, this is a really positive day of testing. One, psychologically, James reckons the car is pretty good. We got like a tiny few tweaks. Two, I did it in the wet and the dry, and it's driving pretty good. I'm like still less than 20 probably laps in the car, and I'm feeling more comfortable every single lap in this car than every single maybe event when I did the Corvette for the first time. So that's a lot. That's like a good progression.
That's a big plus.
So like a couple of tweaks, and this thing will be ready for war. Like, it's just such an animal of a thing. Like, I'm like buzzing. But every time I drive it, I'm buzzing, which I guess is the point, right?
I was going to say, going into Drift King, a very dangerous track. It's a little bit worrying, but I honestly think you're ready now. I think that, like, from all the testing and stuff, I think it's going to look good.
I mean, I haven't spun the car out or done anything stupid in all the testing because I actually think the car is really good. You know what it is, like you go to a doctor and they say you're fine. Sometimes you want a second opinion, and James definitely was the second opinion today to say it's good. Just change a slight bit here and there. So we'll make those changes. We'll check the car again on the dyno just to make sure everything's okay. More of a maintenance than anything. And then, yeah, I think we're ready. I'm excited. I've been terrified when I get to Iron Drift King and his walls, but like today, that surface is quite bumpy and unpredictable, and you can get around okay. Like, the anti-lag on and off is the biggest change for me. Anti-lag is incredible, but when you're off it, you have a little bit more play on the throttle. So yeah, I'm excited.
So before we finish up the day, I think it's rude if I don't steal the Supra for a little bit of a spin. And been watching this thing for a while now, and I am very excited and nervous all the same. And it's raining, but I don't know. Let's go for a spin and have some fun. Seems it's just a day of people driving other people's cars.
So this was your first day ever driving the 180 on the road, right? And
Jim's going to give it a quick test.
this is like the worst NCT that you'll ever get. It's the most aggressive NCT this car will ever get.
I love this. This brings me back.
You know what, of all the cars that were here, James said he'd love to take this for a spin.
It's perfect weather for it. No angle.
You know what, James?
Stock car. Wait.
Just for safety, right? We'll just get the Greg's cup out of here, will you, Josh?
Yeah, don't damage the grate. Forget about the camera or the stuff.
Don't worry about the booster pack of the phone.
Dave, maybe take the booster pack out of there.
Yeah, maybe I'll take out your camera gear as well, just in case.
I've got a few cakes in the back there. Don't disturb them.
A few cornflake slices there if you get hungry halfway around the lap there, James, right?
a little depressing how good he is in every single car.
It's a good car. We put a lot of time and energy into that setup. We put wheels on it. We did a lot.
We lowered the suspension. You know what? The alignment is actually not aligned since the lowering, so the alignment's out. It's got no setup. I'm not even sure it's got welded diff.
It's James Deane though. He doesn't need any of that. He's got the cheat code.
It's like if Chuck Norris drives the car.
He's doing a clutch kick entry here. Absolutely.
And you know what? Smiling the whole time round.
You know what? We came down here to set up the Supra, but this thing looks like it might be the new winner. That's your daily driver. How many people have got the opportunity for the world champion to drive their daily driver in anger in an airfield?
That's not anger. I think he's fairly happy.
Hey, it's got potential, that car.
Oh, steady on there, James.
Look, it's a lot of car. Easy.
So much fun.
It's a lot of car, James. I don't know now. It's a lot of car. It's a lot of car for you.
So you drove 2 cars about 900 horsepower today, and I haven't seen you this happy.
Oh, I love driving stock cars.
Seems like a pretty good one for a standard one.
It's good. Like to get the handbrake to work, you have to stand in the foot brake and pull the handbrake as hard as you can at the same time.
Oh no, my cornflake slice is okay.
Cornflake slices all over the shop here, Josh. I wouldn't take that now.
But it's so much fun with standard angle. Like these are such a good car from the factory.
Honestly, seeing you go around, you're smiling the whole way.
That was really fun. Even the steering is lovely in it.
It's S-body stuff though, isn't
And like flick into the first corner, through the water splash, water in the face, into
Old
the
school.
car, like class.
We were saying that we're going to an event this weekend in Rose Green, and if you turned up in one of these in 2009, this was a highly competitive car. Like, and so if you said someone back then, Ackerman or whatever, they'd be like, what? What are you on about? It's great.
No, when I saw it raining, I was like, that's the perfect conditions for this.
Yeah. Now, for the Volkswagen Crafter.
Thanks for that.
Alright guys, so that was a pretty fun day here at Bishop's Court. Just to show you guys that we do actually want to progress our drifting, we do want to take it pretty seriously for the next couple of events, so that's why we got James in a short window of opportunity, because he's at every event all around the world, winning all the events at the world. He's breaking records, what, 12, 13 podiums in a row. So to get someone like James, who's a good friend of ours, to come and drive the car, to let us know that the car is actually really good, bar a couple of little changes, is actually more psychologically helpful than physically helpful with the car, because I know it's up to me now to drive it better. So I'm very excited that he likes it and he thinks it's a good chassis and everything works pretty well. We also got to rip the 180 and it was a lot of fun, and Josh even got to drive the Supra, so we had a good day today. This was just a short little video. We were up here, we said we'll roll the cameras so as it happens you guys can enjoy it. So hopefully you did enjoy it, and the next time you're going to see this car, it's going to be scraping concrete walls on an abandoned quarry in Germany against the best drivers in Europe. So I'm going to need more practice and I'm going to need more mental stability to try and do that. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching the video. As always, we like when you comment and let us know what you think of the car, what you think of everything that you saw in the video, and we'll see you on the next one for more madness from Drift Games.